Craig Breslow's first trade deadline with the Boston Red Sox was better than any of the ones that Heimblum had during his tenure. I'll tell you why right now on Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Hurlbut, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And it is all free. So you really have nothing to lose but to check it out. So you might as well, because Locked On is your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Happy Friday. Welcome to the show. For those of you who are football fans, there was a football game last night, just a preseason game, but it makes us feel like we're a little bit closer to football season. And honestly, every time I think about football coming back, I think about playoffs for baseball being right around the corner, which is in fact the case. As crazy as it is, only a couple more months left of the regular season. The Red Sox did play game 107 of the season on Wednesday night, so definitely flying by this season for real. And are the Red Sox going to be done in the next couple months, or are they going to make a playoff push? And that is the question everybody's been asking for a while. And Craig Breslow definitely tried to shore up this team so that they can make a playoff run. So on today's show, I'm going to be going over my overall trade deadline thoughts. Also talking about a player who's been on a hot streak lately. Can he maintain that? And just giving an update on a couple key prospects in the Red Sox system. So you definitely won't want to miss today's show. And when you look at the Red Sox roster right now, is it a good enough roster to make the playoffs? Maybe, maybe not. If they were to get healthier and bring back some of their guys from early in the season who are contributing, are they good enough to make the playoffs? I'd be a lot more confident in saying yes at that point. If that were the case, they definitely do need to bring people back from injury in order to have a legitimate shot to make the playoffs and make a deeper run. So I definitely am hoping that that does happen, and that guys are able to return, like Tristan Casas, who's supposed to be coming back soon, Vaughn Grissom, Chris Martin, Justin Slayton, key names of players who hopefully can come back and contribute the way that they were prior to going on the IL. So that way then the Red Sox could come together and hopefully fight for a playoff spot. Now, when it comes to the overall trade deadline and the moves the Red Sox made, they primarily focused on the pitching by adding a starting pitcher who can eat innings in the back end of the rotation. They added some relievers who can help in the later innings in the game, like Lucas Sims, who pitched on Wednesday night in a big situation and was able to get out of it with runners on the bases. And Luis Garcia, who has been pitching in the majors for a while and hopefully will be a key contributor out of the bullpen as well. They also added a minor league pitcher in Quinn Preister, who might eventually be able to get his shot in the majors. So the Red Sox definitely focused a lot on pitching, and they also acquired catcher Danny Jansen from the Blue Jays. Danny Jansen is an upgrade from Reese McGuire defensively at catcher. He's somebody who can provide value from that standpoint. And also so far, he's been hitting well in these few games that he's put on a Red Sox uniform. And that's a good sign too. He always has hit pretty well at Fenway. And Craig Breslow did say they wanted to add another right-handed bat to this lineup. So they did just that by adding him. Was he the best right-handed bat they could have added? No, but they added somebody who hopefully can help balance out the lineup a little bit. When it comes to my overall thoughts on those moves that the Red Sox made, they did a good job. They had an above average deadline to me. And when you look at some other teams across the league, the Red Sox did do more than some teams that maybe were going to buy, like the Twins, who everyone thought was going to be a team that was investing at the trade deadline in their current team. And they didn't really do much at this deadline to add to that team. So tough if you're a Twins fan. And the Red Sox have put themselves in a position to contend now. And when you think about Craig Breslow and what he said he's going to do versus what he's actually done, he has lived up to a lot of what he's been saying, which I really appreciate because I feel like we haven't always gotten that kind of transparency from the Red Sox organization in terms of their plan and moves that they want to make to improve this team, or if they're even going to make moves to improve this team. And this was Craig Breslow's first trade deadline with the Red Sox, and he did a better job than, to me, Chaim Bloom did with any of the trade deadlines in his tenure, because Bloom made it a habit to not pick a lane. He would kind of buy and kind of sell, do a mix of both. I'll never forget the 2022 trade deadline, which was a pretty even split of both. Last year, they weren't fully committed to buying, so they added a couple small pieces, but didn't really add enough. And as a result, the Red Sox won 78 games and didn't make the playoffs. Now, Craig Breslow, in his first season with this team, expressed that he wanted to add at the deadline. And this deadline, to me, showed what happens when you pick a lane. He admitted that he gave up a lot of what he feels could be major league talent at this trade deadline to improve the team now. But he knows that this team has shown that they are worth investing in. So he went out and he added to this team. And that's all you can really ask for from somebody if they say they're going to add to the team, actually living up to that and doing it. So that, to me, is why his deadline in his first season with the Red Sox organization was stronger than they were when Bloom was here. Also, you look at the trade deadline that Breslow had, and he did a good job of addressing areas of need. He addressed the bullpen. And they're also hopefully getting Liam Hendricks back, who will be another addition to the bullpen. They addressed the starting pitching. I know some people wanted them to get a high-end starter who would be more of a top of the rotation guy, but do they really need that with the way that Tanner Houck's been pitching this year? Having a Cy Young caliber season, establishing himself as the Red Sox ace. To me, that wasn't the issue. That wasn't really what they needed to get. And you talk about not wanting to give up prospects, but you would have had to give up some high caliber prospects to get a front end starter. So you can't really have that both ways. And with the season Tanner Houck is having, it made more sense to me to get somebody you can slot into the rotation later on who can eat innings and allow more rest for the bullpen and allow there to be options for guys to pitch out of the pen who have started, like Cooper Criswell, who can pitch 2 or 3 innings out of the bullpen instead. So not that James Paxton would have been the ideal choice, but he made a lot of sense in terms of the profile that the Red Sox were looking for. Somebody who has experience in Boston, somebody who wasn't going to be very expensive, and somebody who has had his ups and downs, but the ups have been very high. And so I think they're willing to take that risk with him and hope that he has better days going forward and that more of his starts are positive. So hopefully this works out for the Red Sox because they now have another starting pitcher in there to slot in. And from a offensive standpoint, I would have loved to see them add another right-handed bat. I think it makes sense from the standpoint of looking for people who can balance out the lineup. And yes, Danny Jansen is a right-handed bat, and he's somebody who enjoys hitting at Fenway. But I still would have liked to see them add one more person, which is a criticism I would give to Breslow at this deadline. I don't know that from an offensive standpoint, he went as much out as he could have. When you go all out and do something, typically you associate that with making more moves. So I would have loved to see one more offensive move and it would have felt complete to me. So hopefully the Red Sox lineup is still able to hit well. And when they go up against lefties, hopefully Jansen is one of those guys they can really rely on to step up, because they don't really have another choice but to rely on these guys now that they have. So that was my criticism of Breslow's deadline. But overall, I thought he did a really good job in his first season with the Red Sox organization, really setting the tone that he is looking to buy. As soon as he felt like this Red Sox team was worth investing in, he decided he was going to go get help, and that's exactly what he did. He stayed true to his word, and he lived up to the expectations that he put in fans' heads that he was going to add and not subtract. And it's a great confidence boost for the players that the front office believes in them and wants to see them succeed this year and really contend for a World Series. So he did add. We're going to know soon enough whether he added enough. I'm still not thinking he added quite enough, but at least he picked a lane and at least he committed to that lane. So I'm excited to see how these moves go and how everything pans out for this Red Sox team for the rest of the season. Masataka Yoshida has been on a hot streak lately for the Boston Red Sox, but can it realistically last? That's coming up next. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. FanDuel is a great way to make lots of money and bet on all of your favorite sports. You can really utilize it for baseball and WNBA this summer, so make sure you definitely check it out. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades. SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, h-vac, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free TradeMaster program. Every TradeMaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, h-vac, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Hey, never a bad thing to have an over excessive amount of electrical supplies around. So make sure you utilize Supply House. Also, you should check out Locked On Sports Today, the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. It's available on YouTube and Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. All of our experts here at Locked On will keep you up to date on all things going on in sports, so you don't have to focus on wasting your day scrolling through Twitter to find out. So make sure that you check that out today. Masataka Yoshida has been on an absolute roll lately for the Boston Red Sox, and it's been fun to watch him over the last month or so. He slashed a .333 batting average, .411 on base percentage, and .487 slugging with 3 doubles, 3 homers, and 20 RBIs in 21 games in July. His .898 OPS in July was his best in a calendar month since May of 2023 when he had a .962. I mean, he has definitely turned things around. Early on in the season, it looked like things weren't going to go well for him this year, but this is something that isn't being talked about a lot that has contributed to a lot of the Red Sox success over the last month plus. they are truly seeing the best version of Yoshida right now, that he has over a season and a half of experience under his belt and is also healthy again after playing through a painful left thumb strain that eventually forced him to the injured list on May 1st. He said that after he came back from the injured list, he had a fear of swinging strong. As he gets more at bats, the fear ended up kind of disappearing. And right now, he's just swinging it carefree. So that's definitely helped him a lot more to be successful over this last month or so of the season. He's also made some mechanical adjustments that have allowed him to lift the ball again rather than the habit he was getting into of rolling baseballs over to second base and just creating automatic double play situations. He said that he thinks the most important thing is to utilize the lower body as efficiently as possible and try to not just use the hands. Just use that lower body and also just try to finish strong, finish the swing really strong. So he really has worked on the follow through, making sure he's seeing the ball all the way through the movement of the bat. Alex Cora also has developed more confidence in Yoshida in regards to his ability, that he's moved him up in the lineup and is batting third against righties quite a bit now. Cora said we talked about it with hitting coach Pete Fatsy in the group. There was a lot of stuff that happened here at the ballpark, but there's a lot of stuff as far as like feeling comfortable. His family is here. Only recently have Yoshida's wife and 2 children been in Boston during the season full time. But to me, that's not a coincidence that development has coincided with his hot streak, because maybe that could be a big factor. His family's watching him. He did say, now that they're here, I get to spend time with my family, and I think I have more bonding moments with my family, which is absolutely huge. And adjusting to life in the major leagues is hard for anybody. It's such a transition for players to have to go through. But for players who come over from Japan and have to make cultural adjustments in short time, that can be even harder. There's a lot of things that Masataka Yoshida had to learn throughout the year. And now finally, I feel like we're starting to see him feeling very comfortable with everything that goes on here. Offensively, he is who he is. He's a good hitter, which everybody knew, but he was struggling. He's getting pitches that he can drive, and he's also been more patient at the plate in terms of taking his walks more frequently now. And he's also healthy, which is the most important thing. He only had 8 at-bats in the minor leagues when he was hurt, but timing-wise, he's in a good place now, and I feel like it was something that might have worked wonders for him, was having to come back and play in the minors before coming back up after his injury, because he definitely has changed a lot about his approach at the plate. And I've enjoyed being able to see what he's been doing lately. He's been crushing the ball a lot further, and he's been able to make harder contact. And to me, the question now becomes, is this sustainable? Is he going to be able to be a player that the Red Sox can rely on moving forward this season? Because we've seen him be streaky. We've seen him go on hot streaks, and then he slips back into a level of struggle. Last year, in the first half of the season, he was hitting really well, and then in the second half, he started to struggle. This year, it's been kind of a reverse of that. The first half of the season, he was struggling, and now in the second half, he has been performing better. But I'm going to be watching moving forward to see if he can stay consistent with it, because overall, his numbers are not fantastic relative to last year. For example, his barrel percentage in 2023 was a 6.6, and this year in 2024 it's a 4.5. So for those of you who don't know what a barrel is, in order for a ball to be barreled, a batted ball requires an exit velocity of at least 98 miles an hour. So anything that goes 98 or faster is going to be in the category of being barreled. A hard hit ball is one that's hit with an exit velocity of 95 or higher. And a player's hard hit rate is simply just showing the percentage of batted balls that were hit at 95 miles an hour or more. So basically, it's a similar concept, but batted balls have to be going at a faster rate in order for it to be considered barreled. So he has not barreled as many baseballs this year as he did last year. And I think that had to do a lot with his plate approach and the fact that his mechanics were kind of off and he was generating lots of ground balls to second base. But I think moving forward as the season progresses, we should watch for his ability to hit the ball harder. And I think we see that barrel percentage increase a little bit more as the rest of the season progresses. It seems like he's just developed a lot more confidence in who he is as a player. And like I talked about earlier with his family being there, I'm sure there's some comfort for him and almost feeling like it's home now, because it's scary when you come from another country and have to adjust to not only the lifestyle here, but also playing a sport here full time. So that definitely could take a toll on somebody emotionally, and especially being away from their family for so long. So I feel like now that his family has basically been here, he can start to feel like Boston is home because he has the people around him that he loves that are his home. And he also is getting more and more comfortable with Boston and being here. So I do feel like he has the ability to keep this going. I just hope that he kind of sticks true to what he has been working on, and that he's able to continue to stay patient at the plate and not waver from kind of being up there and finding the right pitch to swing at, as opposed to just settling for pitches and just swinging it. So I definitely like the newer version I've seen of Yoshida. He obviously knows that there were things he had to fix. And so I'm hoping that he's able to stay that consistent when it comes to being at the plate, because we're going to need him to continue to have a big rest of the season if the Red Sox are going to make a run. So I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm not really counting Yoshida out right now and saying this is just a hot streak. I truly feel like he has the ability to turn things around for the rest of the season, because this has been a hot streak that has lasted about a month now. So it's been nice to see. And a lot of people were giving up on Yoshida, but I'm just not ready to do that yet. So we'll see what happens for the rest of the season this year. I will say his strikeout rate has increased barely from last year, 14.0% last year and 14.1% this year. So it's not like he's been striking out at a ridiculous rate more so than he was last year. It's been relatively the same. So hopefully he can get that down a little bit. But the promising sign is that it hasn't increased significantly, even though he was struggling a lot. So I'd like to see him continue to improve, continue to make hard contact, and continue to be patient and disciplined at the plate and not settle, because that's going to make for a very solid hitter moving forward, and somebody that the Red Sox and the fans are going to be happy to have here. Coming up, I'm going to be giving an update on a couple key Red Sox prospects, so you definitely won't want to miss that. There have been so many 90-degree days this summer in New England. I don't know about where you live, but it's been absolutely ridiculous outside and uncomfortable. So with this heat, I've had to make sure that I stay hydrated. So when you're doing something outside, like watching a baseball game, which is a lot of people's favorite thing to do in the summer, make sure that you are also staying hydrated. And nothing really goes together better than liquid IV and indulgent hydration. Basically, liquid IV is something that you can take to hydrate yourself and make sure that you are staying in check and not getting yourself to the point where you feel sick, which happens to me when I don't drink enough water. So it can kind of replace water or subsidize it a lot of times. And it's great for after a night out with friends or during a workout, maybe a long flight, to get hydrated faster. Lots of different things that you can use it for. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Liquid IV has been an absolute lifesaver for me many times before. So that can be the scenario for you too. Just purchase some, because I promise you it'll change your life. The Red Sox are always talking about their big four prospects that they have in Marcelo Meyer, Kyle Teal, Roman Anthony, and Christian Campbell. Those four are players that the Red Sox see being key pieces to the Red Sox future, cornerstone pieces that they're going to look to add. And if you think about it, the Red Sox infield has the potential to be great down the road because you have Rafael Devers at third, Tristan Casas at first, and then if you have Christian Campbell at second base and Marcelo Meyer at shortstop, wow, what an infield that is. That's going to be so much fun. And then Roman Anthony, who they definitely are keeping around too, to eventually come up and contribute in the outfield, and Kyle Teal behind the dish at catcher. So those four are their core that the Red Sox have made clear many, many times that they are not moving in trades. They want to keep them all and they want them to be the cornerstone pieces moving forward. And I think that's fantastic, but they need to be able to stay healthy. And Marcelo Meyer is somebody who has struggled with injuries throughout his career so far. And he was recently placed on the 7-day injured list after he was pulled from the Portland Sea Dogs July 30th game. He was diagnosed with a hip injury and is expected to return to action after his week on the IL has passed. So it's not expected to be anything serious, but he wasn't in the lineup for Portland's game on July 31st. Even though his IL stint technically began yesterday on August 1st. The thing that I worry about is that his season last year was cut short due to a shoulder injury. And I just hope he's able to stay healthy because this is the second year in a row where he's faced some sort of injury, although this one is a lot less significant. He did have a bounce back season this year, though, after facing last year's injury. He's batting .307 on the season with a .370 on base percentage and .480 slugging with an .850 OPS. And he boasts an Eastern League leading 28 doubles. A lot of Red Sox fans have been itching for his promotion to AAA for some time, and the Red Sox director of player development, Brian Abraham, suggested that the call to Worcester should come soon for him, which is super exciting because that means that likely next season, sometime he'll probably make his MLB debut, which is super fun to think about. He has been in Portland since last season, and now he'll have to wait at least another week for the call because of his injury, but it is what it is. At least it's not a very serious injury. I just hope that moving forward, injury concerns are not something the Red Sox have to be worried about with him because he should be a player who's going to be an absolute star in this league. I actually anticipate that he's going to be a very solid player for the Red Sox organization down the road. So what's exciting about this is that if he does get called up to AAA in the next couple weeks, and he plays the rest of the season down there, he'll likely start next season in AAA too, which is fine because the last thing I want to do is for the Red Sox to rush him back. They do have Trevor Story here to play shortstop, so I wouldn't want them to rush his development process for the sake of calling him up to the majors, and I don't think they will do that. They've definitely been very careful with him, having him elevate in the best way possible. But if he starts the season next year in AAA and he's playing well there, I think there's a good chance we see some Marcelo Meyer time in the majors next season. And that's super exciting, but definitely looking out for the injuries because I don't want that to be something that continues to delay his chance or is something that throughout his career we have to keep worrying about or have conversations about. So hopefully he is able to stay in check, get back from this injury, and stay healthy so that he can get his opportunity down the road. Then prospect Roman Anthony, who is unbelievable, another guy who has a chance soon to make his major league debut, made history with the Portland Sea Dogs. He crushed a 116-mile-per-hour moonshot. It was mashed. And this was the hardest hit ball by any Red Sox player at any level, including the big leagues this year. The only Red Sox big leaguers to hit a ball 116 miles an hour in the StatCast era, which is 2015 to 2024, were Devers with 3, Hanley with 3, Franchi Cordero, JD Martinez, and Hunter Renfroe. So there have only been a handful of players who have been able to do that, and Roman Anthony literally did it in AA. I mean, This kid is special. He is another player who is going to be able to showcase his power when he comes up to the majors at some point. He still has his sights on making his major league debut sooner rather than later, but it was pretty cool to see him hit a ball that hard. He's posted a 254 batting average on the season with a 356 on base percentage and 477 slugging with an 833 OPS over 75 games in Portland this season. He's also matched 13 homers, 18 doubles, and 3 triples, and won the first ever All-Star Futures Skills Showcase this year. And just like Marcelo Meyer, people are clamoring for his call up to AAA, which, again, Craig Breslow didn't come out and say directly that these guys were going to be getting called up to AAA, but kind of implied it in so many words that they might be getting promoted within the system, because with these trades that the Red Sox made at the trade deadline, it created some room for guys like that to be able to get called up and make their mark at the AAA level. So it's definitely exciting to think about, because this is the Red Sox future. These are the types of players that the Red Sox have been investing in for a long time, that they have been waiting for to be ready to come up eventually to the majors and make an impact on this team. And it's really exciting to think about the future of the Boston Red Sox. I mean, just think about a team with Roman Anthony in the outfield to go along with Jarren Duran, and then likely Cedar Rafaela, maybe Wilyer Abreu, kind of depends what they do there. And then the infield that I mentioned, and then Kyle Teel behind the dish, pitching to hopefully some guys who continue to develop in the system. The Red Sox, once all of these guys are called up, likely in 2026, are going to be a very good team. And I think there's a chance, they might get their opportunity in 2025, especially Marcelo Meyer, but the others could also. There's definitely a chance that they do as well. But I do think by 2026, all 3 of them will be in the majors full time. And that team's going to be good. It's going to be a fun team to watch. And there are going to be lots of players that Red Sox fans are going to enjoy going and turning on their TV at 7:10 p.m. every night to watch. So I'm excited. Hopefully you are too. This Red Sox team has a lot of potential in the future. And this team this year also has potential to make a run. They just need to get some guys back. And overall, I like the fact that Yoshida's been hitting really well this year. I like the trade deadline that Craig Breslow had. And I like the Red Sox organization kind of changing their minds about this team's performance this year and saying they deserve to be invested in, because before the season started and their behavior during the offseason didn't really indicate that they believed in this Red Sox team. So if you believe, the players will believe, the coaches will believe, people around the organization will believe. And that's what baseball is. You have to believe in your favorite team. And, I'm not saying the Red Sox are going to win the World Series this year. That'd be really freaking cool if they do. But I'm not saying it necessarily will happen. But even if it doesn't, if they are threats in the playoffs and they make a run, that would be a huge success for this season, because people were not expecting that to be the case with this Red Sox team. So I'm excited to see how things play out. Tough schedule moving forward for the Red Sox, but they do have a no-quit mentality, as we saw on Wednesday night in their walk-off win against the Mariners. So I'm really hoping that they can continue that mindset of, we can be great and we want to win and we want to prove people wrong, because if they have that attitude, then they will win baseball games. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen today. For your second listen, please enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast. Host Paul Sullivan, aka Sully, is here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs here in the dog days of summer. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB. Available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On Red Sox is here for you every single day. So you need to give me your faith every day, like I always say, and go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.